What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best Prismatic Warlock build in Destiny 2. This setup will utilize the exotic class item solipsism with the perfect combination of Spirit of the Osmiomancy and Spirit of Verity. This combo excels at generating huge amount of Vortex Grenade energy and improving your AoE damage massively. On top of this, when we also pair this up with the aspect of Defeat the Void and Buried Bloodline weapon, then every single one of our abilities and multi-kills will proc the Devour trait. This will result in quick regen of our Vortex Grenades that have even more increased damage thanks to the Spirit of Verity. So overall, this is a top tier ability spam build, which thrives in endgame content where the enemies have huge amount of health. So let's take a look at our setup. For our super, we are using the Nova Bomb Cataclysm. This is an extremely strong burst damage option that also synergizes with the Facet of Purpose fragment that gives you an overshield trait. Next we have our abilities, and for the first one we are using the Healing Rift. This skill will heal you and your teammates while standing inside the radius. Next we have the Burst Glide, and your jump ability is up to you, but for me personally, I found that the Burst Glide works the best. Next we have Arcane Needle. This melee ability gives you 3 charges, and we want to use it to activate the Devour and apply the Unravel to the enemy targets. And then finally we have the Vortex Grenade. This grenade pulls enemies and does bunch of damage to an enemy caught inside. This pairs extremely well with the Spirit of the Osmiomancy, especially on large targets that can withstand the entire duration of the Vortex Grenade. For our build, we have to use this ability, as it's extremely useful for our particular playstyle. Next we have the aspects. For the first one, we are using the Defeat the Void. When we get a kill with any of our abilities, it will activate the Devour. This aspect increases the amount of health and grenade energy received on kill when Devour is active. So in short, this will drastically increase our uptime of our Vortex Grenades. Then for the second one, we have the Bleak Watcher. This is another pretty much must-have thing, as almost all Prismatic Warlocks uses it, because it allows us to convert our grenades into stasis turrets that can also lock down an entire room. However, it will take some time to get perfect execution, to have all of your 8 turrets going on at the same time. Next we have the fragments. My first choice is the Facet of Protection. This will provide us with damage reduction when we are surrounded by a bunch of enemies. Overall, this will greatly increase our survivability. Next we have the Facet of Courage. This grants us a 10% damage buff for light abilities to enemies affected by the darkness debuffs. We need to use the Arcane Needle skill to activate this damage buff. Then also we are using the Facet of Bravery. So when we defeat a target with a grenade, it will grant us a volatile rounds to void weapons. In short, this is a free DPS increase to our Buried Bloodline and the Edge Transit weapons. Then for one of the last ones, we have the Facet of Purpose. By collecting an Orb of Power, it will grant us an overshield for even more extra survivability. And finally, for the last one, we have the Facet of Dawn. This will grant us a Radiant when hitting an enemy with a powered melee, which also increases our weapon damage by 25%. Then next up we have our required gear. And for this build, we need to use the solipsism with the Spirit of the Osmiomancy and the Spirit of Verity. These specific perks will give the build its OP grenade uptime and damage. For mods, we want to go with the Time Dilation, Powerful Attraction and the Bomber. And you can get this class item from the Dual Destiny exotic missions. Also by opening any chest within the Pale Heart, and finally by doing cooperative focus missions. Next up we have the armor mods, and for the helmet we want to use the Harmonic Siphon, Special Ammo Finder and the Heavy Ammo Finder. Then for gloves get the Firepower, Momentum Transfer and the Impact Induction. Then for chest, here you can get any resistance mod of your choice, but personally for me I went with the Solar Resistance, Arc Resistance and Consecutive Dampener. And then finally for the legs, I chose to go with the 2 Void Weapon Surges and 1 Void Scavenger. In short, armor mods are unlocked by progressing through your Guardian rank, and you can check out my mods guide and how to get them in this video's description. Then as far as weapons go, my recommendation for the kinetic weapon is the Mountaintop, and for perks we want to go with the auto-loading holster and either Recombination or the Warple weapon. Then for energy weapon, we are using the buried bloodline. This weapon is the key to always having the devour active, while also applying the weaken to the enemies. And then finally for the power weapon, we have the edge transit. This weapon with the envious assassin and a bait and switch is a top tier DPS option in the whole game. Next we have stats, and our main stat priority is resilience, then recovery, then discipline, and then everything else. Resilience is the most crucial stat to focus on, so we want to aim for 100 resilience to maximize our damage resistance and shield capacity, which will ensure better survivability in challenging encounters. Second, we have the recovery, as it reduces the cooldown on the Warlock's class ability, and decreases the time it takes to regenerate your health and shields. And then lastly we have the discipline, because it increases the cooldown on your grenade ability, which allows it to charge faster, thus increasing our DPS even more. Then for one of the last things we have the artifact perks. So first off we have the Overload Breach Loader Grenade Launcher. This allows the mountaintop to stun overload champions. Also, your special grenade launcher is always overcharged when that modifier is active. Second, we have the Field the Revenant. This deals increased weapon damage to the Scorn. Next, we have Rapid Impact. This will deal damage with a grenade launcher and temporarily increase the reload speed as well. Next, we have the Killing Breeze. This will give us a bonus mobility to help you meet the stat recommendations. Next, we have the Total Carnage. When we finish enemies, this will give us damage resistance. Then for one of the last ones, we have the Debilitating Wave. When we finish an enemy, it will emit a damaging wave. We also want to unlock the boost for this perk to apply the weaken trait. And finally we have the Conductive Cosmetic Crystal. So now your void abilities do bonus damage to the targets that are affected by the stasis debuff. This includes stasis weapon perks such as the Cold Steel and the Chill Clip, or also debuffs from other players in your party. And now finally we have come to the gameplay. So we want to start our DPS rotation by getting kills with the buried bloodline to stack the Spirit of Verity. Then after several kills or by defeating a target with an ability, Devour will be granted. So this will provide us incredible survivability and rapid regen of the Vortex Grenades. So then afterwards we want to focus our Vortex Grenades on enemies with more health, specifically mages and bosses. This lets the Spirit of Osmiomancy grant you its full benefit by allowing your grenade to do damage for the entire duration. Overall, you want to throw your grenades at the boss, then defeat smaller enemies with weapons to guarantee that there is another Vortex Grenade ready to be thrown when the previous one runs out. And then finally, to achieve maximum damage output for our Vortex Grenades, while the Devour is active, we want to shoot at the enemy with the buried bloodline to weaken them, then hit them with an arcane needle to inflict a darkness debuff for the Facet of Courage, while also granting Radiant with the Facet of Dawn, and that's about it. So if you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe and comment. If you're interested in more content, then check out my channel, and I will see you in the next one, so take it easy, peace.